Hello, my lovers. How are you? It's MJ from Also Love and Also Love TV. I am being guided to do a share about emotional storms. It's the process that I talk about in the Fearless Life Guide. I'm an empath, an intuitive introvert, and what up, Bruce? Glory, glory, hallelujah. Much grace and benevolence for this community. The integration I can feel is really taking hold, and in a very sort of accelerated simultaneous way, where we really are still facing down a lot of these deeper wounds that are coming up. And Roots helped discern or insight this piece about the emotional storm that I talk about and how deeply it's connected to the female burden. Again, non-gender specific. This is just the feminine part of ourselves as beings, and it's hugely connected to our power, our divine power as creators, and that's our emotional gate. I call it, like being able to hold space for yourself in the depth of really profound emotions. And typically in our culture, we're taught to deny our imagination, our intuition, our emotions. We just, whatever expressions people use, like suck it up, crack on, keep being productive, which is the imbalanced perspective of separation, that which we call the patriarchy in male domination. Male domination is a part of any of us where we deny our emotions, we deny the importance, efficacy, and truth of the emotional awareness within, and we exude control and power and dominate our external reality, micromanage it, whether it's our bodies, people around us, things around us, rather than working on ourselves, working on our perspective, working on our emotions. And what I discovered intuitively and has been reflected back as a valid form of healing is that when we truly allow our bodies to move through these emotional storms, like literally to the point of exhaustion and or to the point where in the depth of that emotional healing, there's this point of divine elixir, I call it, like a divine spark that you hit. And then there's this sense of, again, once you've been possibly for hours, like not to freak people out, but just like crying for hours until there's this like and then in that moment you recognize that there's divine beings all around you, or you start to have visions of your cosmic heritage, or you start to have a sense of grace and forgiveness around all of the distortion and pain that you've felt in your life and that has been exchanged between yourself and other. So, and that was only through intuitively allowing myself to really feel and recognize that this stuff is coming up, this emotion, this awareness is coming up through me, and I'm not going to deny it just because some people around me are feeling a bit uncomfortable or that they don't understand. And all these years later, I can still reflect to you, any of you on this path, that people won't necessarily understand, and that doesn't matter. It's our divine purpose to be able to process these densities within the self so that we can rise our humanity. And the way I feel into it, and science I'm sure can reflect this, it's just that when we endeavor these emotional storms, we are going through an alchemical healing. I feel it as like holding space for self to let these waves and emotions pass through is connected to the ambiotic, I might get this word wrong, ambiotic fluid in the body. And by holding space in the light of awareness, i.e. having love for yourself in the process of this dynamic healing, you literally release and enlighten the cells of your body. Hence why this community can reflect back the intuitive nature of this process and understand that we're being upgraded and shape-shifted, and it's all part of this paradigm shifting from a lower base tone perspective of fear and separation into a unity perspective of love and compassion, or love and empathy, or love and greater emotional awareness as beings, so that we reclaim our heritage as powerful creators versus essentially selling our soul to an illusion. And a pretty like icky one at that, that denies our common humanity. What up, Lorna? Hello. um, so the emotional storm, to anyone kind of moving through or working with the book, it can come at any time. Like this is again part of the, I would say, the efficacy of the book literally being like that, how I endeavor to practice living my life, right? And have been, as an empath, been navigating these emotional storms throughout my life. And I recognize that when I tried to deny them and just crack on and do what other people said, I ended up in toxic patterns that nearly killed me every time. So that's the what warrants for me doing the work. And then over the years since publishing, more and more people who align with it. Of course, I've had people think I'm crazy or tell me that there's not very, like, I had someone quite close to me just say, yeah, like there's a few good bits in your book. And it was just like, oh, it's like my life's work. It's like my divine mission. Is that like, you obviously don't get it. Like, I've stepped away from obviously that community because, I personally, when in reflection with this person, like it would be like saying like there's a few bits of good things they do rather than like the entire creative process is something to be admired, is something. And again, like it's easy to diss on people, isn't it? Right? OMG, emotional storms like crazy. Whoa, Savita, you hear me, you feel me. So this is all and like even in my own processing, I'd be processing emotional storms, feeling the totality within the storm of the shame, of the like, witch, or you're hysterical, or like, oh my god, you cray cray, and all this, and my pure little heart was just like, no, I have to let this be. I have to let my body heal. Don't tell me to stop crying. Don't tell me that I'm crazy. This is real for me. There's pain in the world. And if I don't let myself feel this pain, then I'm living in fucking denial. And denial is like, one of the biggest piece of our like shaming one another for our existence and for our beauty and our spectrum and our, like, always trying to put us in boxes in that 3-4D aspect. And oh, Lorna, I was doing a guided meditation yesterday morning. I started to cry. And plus, I think this Leo full moon has been a pretty like more deep shit, more heart activations, more recognitions of it's on, basically, like it's on. We're moving through, we're opening up, we're expecting positive abundance, windfalls, manifestations, beauty, support, love, integrity, and also more people possibly just naturally gravitating towards you to tell their life story, or naturally starting to gravitate because they want to talk to you about this, that, or the other. It's all really starting to open up. As in the feedback of like the masses are beginning to endeavor the work. The masses are beginning to awaken, like, to their broader potential. And this ultimately is healing that divine feminine aspect, which divine feminine or non is, to me, it's just there's these two polarity spectrums, like an infinity loop or a yin yang symbol, and we are all contained within that as a sovereign being, just like Earth is a sovereign being, or any planet. We as souls are sovereign in our creative birth point, or that 0 point sense of self. So owning that totality means that there's this healing that needs to occur, because clearly we're all, most of us are now hopefully coming into that recognition of like, the world that we once were taught to believe in is falling away. It's crumbling in front of our eyes. It's the illusion of separation has been and is continuing to be shattered in front of our eyes, as far as these paradigm shift energies continue to ramp up on the planet. And the fear ultimately, and that's why it's called the Fearless Life Guide, because that's part of my own awareness, was that I'm like, yeah, but if you're creating your own reality, then like everything that we're biofeedbacking off of is triggering an emotional response, which if we keep denying that emotional response, we're not shifting anything. So every time, and like it's and that's I think part of my like my sense of allowing and sharing and because it has to be true. Like it has to feel right. It has to be in alignment with my own sense of self and soul and grace and benevolence and all of these things for it to flow in, I would say, the way that that divine elixir wants it to flow. And so in my own earnest journey, it's been those biofeedback loops of facing down the fear of the system, facing down the fear of the economy, facing down the fear of lack, facing down the fear of not having, facing down the fear of not being loved, facing down, I mean, loop de loop de loop de loop every effing time. Even like I've said to you guys before, all the body stuff, like staring at a reflection of disgust and hatred and ew, and then knowing and holding space for the fact that this is the fucking burden. This is the continual fucking burden of not owning our own bodies. You know, we don't. People tell us who we can and can't have sex with. People tell us when and when we can't have babies. People tell us how and what we can do for work. People tell us and that is the biggest lie of all. That we can't, in our own divine choosing, choose how we want to show up in our bodies and choose how we want to feel in these bodies and choose how we want to pioneer and exchange energy in this world. It's a choice. And those of us coming into that divine choice through the balanced state of being, which is honoring both the divine feminine within us and the divine masculine. And the divine masculine is that which takes action in our world. I'm very masculine. I have a very dominant masculine energy in my chart. All this divine feminine stuff has been difficult. You know, lying down rather than going and exercising more, or choosing to love myself regardless of how much the image reflecting back to me is wanting me to hate it, wanting me to hate it, and just power through and just keep denying. This deep love stuff and the efficacy of my own healing journey is what I'm like, holy fucking shit. This feminine piece, this bit of our beingness that has been long and too long denied is finally coming into power so that we can speak and act, which is the masculine, so that we can think through our logical mind, not in denial and in shame of all that we are. Because we are so much more than what the media tells us. We're so much more than anything anyone else ever tells us. We are the bliss that we seek. We are the divine that we seek. And it is only in our choosing to see that in the world around us and to be responsible for our emotions as our own that we begin to shapeshift the world. So there's a lot of so there's a lot. I feel like the flow takes over. So I'll go through the notes from the emotional storm. So we're healing the divine feminine to heal the divine masculine, and it's just infinity loop of an octave of function, and that goes to the higher octave as we rebalance the divine feminine through these emotional healings. We rise the divine masculine. That's part of having the perspective shift, which I encountered. All the positive thinking weren't shifting any shit until it actually went deeper into the emotional field to uproot the actual emotional cellular trauma, which then opens the mental aspect to start rewiring the brain, rewiring the synaptic firing. So we're not existing in that fight flight response anymore. We're not constantly fucking triggering our nervous system because we're all scared to be alive. I mean, that's a big part of it. We're scared to be free. We're scared to be the wholeness of who we are because the world that programmed us taught us to fear that. And so we're having to step by step, moment by moment, breath by breath, work through those fearful reactions and responses from within the self and not just loop back into blaming the world around us or blaming anything or anyone. Doesn't mean we're not going to have reactions, but we need to also permission ourselves to continue to step into healthy relationships, which also are doing this level of work that can allow ourselves to feel and process without judgment and without shame. because we recognize that all of this healing stuff is triggering the mass in a ripple effect, in a wave effect, quicker and quicker and quicker. Oh, and then just makes me think of like these pillars as a community, even how we're anchoring these pillars down into the earth. Okay, so recognize that distortion. I use the word distortion in the Fearless Life Guide as any uncomfortable emotion, essentially. Anything that doesn't feel true, anything that doesn't feel joy, love, happiness, peace, that's a distortion in your field, i.e., it's rooted in some sort of false belief system, anchored in a fear perspective. That is biofeedbacking to you, again, that kind of, and again, within the emotional awareness, you can often anchor it until you find the belief system. And where I'm at now is that I'm realizing that it's like the infinity loop gets faster and faster, and then often what you find in the container of your world is that there's like each new circumstance provides you with different loops within your own timeline. So each present moment gives you if there's distortion coming through, and then you can be present with it. You can suddenly be aware of layers of patterns, and then they get smaller and smaller and smaller at the same time in your energetic field. They become more and more heightened because increasingly the being that you are is no longer attached really at all to that 3D construct of separation and that 4D transition point. You're anchored in the truth in the here and now. So in the here and now, you're always holding space for your whole world to show you what you're truly desiring in more specificity, but also through the emotional storm process, you break down the egoic arrogance, you break down the false self. And the breaking down of the false self is one and the same. That's where I have here. That's the simultaneity and the instantaneity, the simultaneous present moment field that you were, whatever you're feeling, whatever you're facing, you can just breathe through it and be like, that's not real, that's not true. Boom, instantaneous healing. You can rewire the brain in that moment. It's just the commitment to keep doing it. And as a lot of us can recognize, sometimes our life has a lot of pulls. We're responsible for different people. We have jobs to do. We have these things that, and you know what? At this point I'm like, and I know now, to each their own. Like we all gonna. This has been a 20-year kind of process in my own awareness as a story that obviously loops back to my birth point here on Earth, and then loops back to a galactic fucking universal entrance point, which some of you have showed up in this divine center where it's like bringing back those recall memories of when we entered here, where we started to make we feel like making love. We start making love and then birthing the cosmos in this special place called Earth, which we all love so dearly. Hence the don't hurt her, right? And so we reclaim that divine feminine. We reclaim our connection to Earth. That's what we are. We are made up of all of the elements that we perceive is separate to us, and it isn't. It is us. And I'm getting a call of like a little exercise we can do. For some reason, it's coming through. Having a glass of water with like your old life, and then having a piece of paper with the new life, and then putting that glass of water on the new life, and then like old life, old shames, and be willing as well that we here now as a unity space community are permissioning one another to truly shed, release, let go of those deep wounds and shames and burdens that we don't belong here, or that we don't deserve to exist here, that we don't deserve to be the free channels of light that we are. This is our divine heritage, and we are here now to claim it. And any at all who are desiring that truth of their own heartfelt expression will naturally find their way. Hello, Elliot, welcome. Okay, so hence, so so I have base tone, distortion or any base tone emotions. Most are kind of swimming around core wounds of unworthiness stemming from fear and separation. Ultimately, it's the sin, it's the cutoff, it's a very deep wounding from within self that we are not connected to any source of love, and that's just not true. So the infinity loop of healing is ultimately healing those wounds associated and then the false belief mental constructs that keep us looped into those paradigms and those programs of fear and separation. And the emotional work over time is what continues to anchor us into that so we can be more whole and we can feel more present. We can allow ourselves and allow other to feel and heal and process and be who they are, and at the same time go after what they want. So fear separation, i.e. from source, and then really truly like all other distorted emotional fields stem from those core wounds. So anger, jealousy, resentment, it all can be usually traced back to a sense of unworthiness, fear, and shame. So shame and guilt and punishment. So hello, Catholic Church. What? So on a daily basis, like what's the work? What's the work? How the fuck do I survive these storms? That's where meditation, body work, and space clearing and cleansing. Now this is like a bit of a new one, but I'm aware of how vital it can be and how positive its work like can have in our space, right? So meditation every day, and I'm feeling that right now after a bit of a like I'm really this space. Like just when I did some stuff this morning, and then I just was like needing to drop in. So it's like more meditation, deeper meditation if possible. Like darkness, like really going into that inner stillness point. The body work, and by that I mean anything that brings you into your body. Obviously, I'm a yoga person, but like walking with presence. But body work, I would say I want you to be aware that body work is connected to breathing, because breathing and having an awareness of your breath whilst you move is what makes the movement conscious. And ultimately, if we're not present while we're moving and doing this exercise or doing this dancing, we're not necessarily like moving energy as much as we could. So if we're just going through the motion of like must exercise to keep the body well, it's often just compounding stress patterns, actually. Hola, get y'all freaked on. Hey, and grounding. So yeah, meditation is a grounding practice. And also, I talk about this in some of my walking shares, but like getting outside, throughout the day if possible, like a bit of quiet time, walking time, like restorative time again, but again, present with the nature, present with the feeling of your feet on the ground, present with like honestly straight up legit going outside can almost like instantaneously just be like boom. And like so straight up, like I'm feeling this for some reason. I don't feel it's mine. I feel like it's just like a recognition, but like sometimes what we need is that moment of just going like I'm done, I'm not doing that way anymore, and then the emotional release will come. We can finally go like it's true, I'm free, and I'm not going back to that reality, and I'm not going to pretend that that's good really for anybody necessarily, and certainly not for me. So I'm just going to keep walking in this direction where I know that I'm fulfilling more of my potential, and I'm radiating more love for the world that I love so much, kind of thing. So it really is. So meditation, body work, it's presence, and then I've put here as well space clearing and cleansing to ensure to a certain degree that you're holding your space and responsible for your space. And I mean, like your house, your rooms, your blah blah, plants, color, your altar, having sacred space, and like this is coming from a total place of love and acceptance and non-judgment, but clean. Making sure our space is clean, making sure our space is tidy, making sure that we don't have a bunch of clutter and shit. And if there is that, then see that as an opportunity to be like, right, that part of my house is a complete tip. And that's obviously representative of something. So it's like, oh, Anne, hi, Anne. I remember your comment about holding space. I'll explain. So, yeah, that would be like the area of your house that's like, come to this part of your brain that you need to sift through, that you need to work through, that you need to work out, right? Thursday meditation and sleep. Boom. Yeah. Boom. I'm still learning how to put myself first. I know. Roots, it can take years and years and years. And maybe it's just ongoing. You feel me? Okay, so Anne, what's holding space mean? When I talk about holding space, I'm really using another expression for being present. And presence is this sort of very neutral, energetic awareness within us where we can just be present in unconditional love, non-judgment. So we don't have to respond, we don't have to react, we don't have to advise, we don't have to speak. We can just be present. So in my presence, through continued meditation practice and all this yoga stuff and whatever, it's like ramping up my energetic vortex and my ability to be present at you hold space. So I'm somebody that's over the years become very, very good at holding space for myself to feel all this stuff. Hence why I wrote a book about it. Because I'm like, I'm pretty sure we're supposed to be feeling this stuff. And then not and then noticing other people in denial and then learning about empaths and narcissists and learning about some people don't take emotional responsibility because they've never had to. You just got given everything and followed the rules and then their life is fine. And so like for an empath, empaths are naturally pretty good at holders of space because and then um when someone's not, that's when they're wanting to kind of tell you what to do, and it's very much an emotional awareness. um so when you get really good at holding space for self, I swear to god, that's when you're guided into these environments where you're now holding space for other. Because I've never really been in control of my physical reality, because I've always just gone with the flow. I've gone with how I feel. But ended up in these environments. Like I ended up teaching at this retreat for 7 years, holding space for people. Not because I like trained for a long, long time to do this job. It's just where my being of service, that my original awakenings led me to live a life of service. So that's how that's what it looked like in the last phase of my life. And this is part of what it looks like. Holding a space, being present with people. You feel me? um, and like, I can't even quite describe like all of the intrigue and layers and polarity. There's also just like a really, like, I'm somebody from a young age. I would set my clothes out before school the night before, and I have vivid memories of like sitting by the window where I had my little mirror and like doing my pigtails and putting my outfit on, and like I swear to effing all that is beauty. Um, like that's part of my routine. It's part of my self care, my self love. I enjoy having that time when I wake up at the crack of noon, which is usually like between 2 and 5 in the morning, and have done for quite a few years now. So like I wake up and I'll put my lights on and I'll spend time like self-caring and like get myself ready. And that's where I add in the meditation bit, is that, oh man, I have been just wanting to sit. Like I'll just be sat here until there's like just a, even if I can just tap that feeling of like it's all okay, like it's okay. Just because like straight up before the meditation session this morning, there was a whole bunch of bullshit running around. Like and then I'm like, okay, I have to get just, none of this. This is here because sometimes life throws us this stuff because we have the mental projection thing going on. Life often like lands us with stuff that can trigger these old patterns, and then it requires our discernment to know that's not a pattern, and actually just trust that the divine is guiding us. Like, oh, I I still struggle with that. I'm like, I don't want to fucking do it. Like, I don't want to do this like this, or I don't want to be here right now. And it's just like, but you are. So you can either resist where your life is changing you, or be like, and go with the flow. And that's, again, most of us as empaths have been pretty good at going with the flow because we've always wanted to be of service. And then, but this is another piece of the empowerment piece where I'd be like, yeah, Rose, take a full day for yourself, meditate, rest, sleep, eat whatever you want, do some face mask. I don't know, like just you, pure you, and like we're allowed to do that. If if people are allowed, then all of us are allowed. And again, it's like, why are we healing these female burdens, these female shames? Because obviously there's still that false light program, the false light of quote unquote spirituality, but spirituality anchored in 3D construct isn't fucking helping nobody necessarily. It just continues to keep it in. That's not true. That's not a true statement at all. It is helping. And it does help, and that's why it's available to us. It's just that we're in this radical divine shifting quantum leap of human evolution where it's all a bit chaotic. It feels that way because the constructed reality that we know of is crumbling, and the beautiful pieces of ancient wisdom that are meant to come along with us, they shall. Without the religious dogma of control and domination intertwined within the teachings. Hence, the permission slip of detach from all external knowledge and birth your own intuitive wisdom onto this planet. And that's the spiritual stuff, the presence, kindness, authenticity. So, and I have that. So I talked about clearing space, making sure your space is clean, that taking responsibility for that. And then the spiritual stuff around like just be present, kind, i.e., it doesn't matter how much fucking spiritual stuff you're doing if you're still being a dick to other people. Or you're still lying, or you're still not clear about what you're feeling, or you're still thinking shitty thoughts about other people. Like people. Yeah. Anyway, I've done quite a lot of shares around our blind privilege and around some spiritual circles and whatnot, whereby it's beyond the individualized construct of organization and institution that really have been dominant in the world. Right, because this is the human evolution. This is beyond like the world that we're seeing and looking at, and that which we're attached to. This is something sort of beyond our person, if that makes sense. So the spiritual mumbo jumbo is just mumbo jumbo until you're actually being present and practicing self-responsibility with your thoughts and emotions, endeavoring to be fucking real, endeavoring to be really honest about what you're feeling in any given moment, and not shaming yourself for feeling this way or wanting what you want. And that's a big thing, is that often out of the fear and laced in practicality, we deny what we want, or we pretend like we couldn't have that, or we don't deserve that, and that's a bunch of mumbo jumbo too. But again, to each their own. This is my own learning. Humility and grace is that I'm not here to to kind of propagate your truth to you. That's got to come from within. So yeah, and so love of self, and then intuition versus logic. Basically, the logic is a false logic until you integrate it with intuition. So until you're in your divine authority, the logical mind tends to be a bit like, again, it's a false logic. Like the majority of that which we've constructed is based in a false perspective, because it's based in the perspective of separation, which isn't ultimately true. Million innocent tragedies. I love that. We revealed and shed such heartbreak today. Hey. It came through, went over every last milestone on innocent tragedy. So beautiful. That's right. Alienating, we're becoming alien from the self with distraction. And that's part, again, of everything that I tend to propagate here, is like unplug from it to the best of our ability. Show up, find ways of showing up in your authentic truth, find ways of showing up in your authenticity, painting, dancing, moving. Creative expression typically is more aligned with our divinity versus a mechanistic kind of enslavement grid. So then linking it back, like emotional storms, I feel I probably talked about this already, but like it's an alchemical healing. It's us as a human vessel bridging from again the lower base tone 3D construct into a quantum realm. That's the fifth dimensional and higher. I don't tend to use the 5D expressions, but it's just a leap in our awareness. It's a leap in our ability and our potential as a human. And so we're undergoing this alchemical healing so that we can bridge a quantum gap in our existence here on the planet. It's like we are one with it. It's being guided through us. We simply have to continue to speak into existence. And then that's where we're feeling the acceleration of this simultaneity in the instant, the simultaneous and instantaneous. So That's the only way I can kind of describe my own field. And I'm holding space for a lot of distortion to come through my own physicality. And like a little rash came back in. It was appeared first in October. I feel there's this rash that's connected to a female bird in peace. The body's showing itself like every fear I ever thought I felt, and yet it's providing me with a review phase of underlying fears that I was trying to run away and escape from, and now I'm letting them come out, and then allowing the emotional depth, and then the light-filled, loving awareness to keep claiming my truth and claiming my freedom and claiming my divine form. Ownership over self. It's a continual kind of like people. I own this body. I own my life. I own my perspective. I own my own fucking perspective. Imagine that. People think, oh, this crazy shit. And I'm like, it's your perspective, man. Like, we can shapeshift our perspective, but it's intense. It requires like a whole transformational thing to happen. Oh yeah, feel that. My left brain always tries to pop up and shut down the intuition. Boom. Good insight. More like from wisdom. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. I really like that. I'm very false logic, it's only logic, arithmetic. Without intuition, right? Without it. So this is where I think of it, and it makes sense on the world paradigm. We just go around in a loop, but the loop is like going off on a tangent. It's not anchored. It's not anchored in anything. It's a false. Arithmetic, math, let's continue to create this fucking world. We're all like, like, what are we going to destroy in the process? So the intuition is what ultimately expands the mind to the higher frequency, or like a expanded frequency, broader quantum aspect. And then that sort of realigns our logic from the quantum perspective versus a 3D perspective, versus a perspective of separation, which again is just like, whoa, topple over. Oh, this is, and we can see it. We can wreck, hey, Elf, whatever. We can see it in our world. We can see it in everything connected to that reality. All the relationships are breaking down. That any of the false constructs connected to that paradigm are untangling themselves. Hence our ability to show up here, because we're just like, what is life? What is actually happening? And then people on the other end of the internet vibrationally manifest to also be like, I don't know, fucking shit balls across the nation. But that's not true. What up, Steven? How are you? Whenever I say yellow heart, I think of a cupcake. Because of one of you precious, precious beings that I love. So there. It's very emotional storms, you guys. They're intense. And it's so sometimes weird that, like, other people still live in denial about it. Anyway, that's cool. I see my brothers and sisters awakening up and having loads of, like, emotional breakdowns. But with love. There's nothing wrong. I mean, gee whiz. We've lived in denial. We've made such a huge point about all this violence and terror and criminality. And it's within us, you know? And then we're all little frightened little children, frightened to feel, you know, running away, creating more distortion rather than just sitting there and going, I'm broken, fuck. Yeah. Rather than just doing that for a few hours, gee whiz, you know? Let's just keep creating more distortion rather than just leap. I choose leap. I choose a leap. I'm in a funny mood today, actually. I don't know why. I'm going to meditate some more and probably have a massive chill sesh. Actually, I also have the yoga to do. Although, you know, straight up, this is the fun about being your own authority, is that I have the online yoga crew. What? And so every day, Monday to Friday, I do a live sesh at some point, and I share it with the people signed up. And like today, I choose leap as well. Ha! I know you guys do. That's why we're one. We're one mind over soul. You know, it's words people in different channels might use, but like to me, this is an over soul empath community. Like we're a community, you know, congregating to birth in the new world. Oh yeah, so like the yoga sesh, I'm like, so I'm like, basically I'm just gonna do a little yoga sesh from my bed. And I reckon that's a relevant thing to share for the yoga crew because it's legit what I do. And I'm like, I cannot be bothered to like make the room and da-da-da. And I don't think I'm gonna be doing like any massive. Yesterday was a pretty strong sesh. So like, yeah, today I'm just gonna do a little bit of like what I do to kind of spice it up in my bed. Spice it up alone in my bedroom. But so I feel good. I feel great. I mean, but except when I'm facing down the densities of ages gone by, and I feel like I'm a disgusting witch whore that deserves to die and be fucking tortured forever and ever. So I'll just be nice. I'll just be nice. Please don't fucking kill me. This is why we do yoga, friends. Because we need massive amounts of self-love for all of the just all of the parts of ourselves. That there's a deeper part of us that would shame forever. Except in like, I love you, Spice Girl. Is it triple gin? Still not as terrifying as the mushroom trip I've had. Interesting you say that. Because I've had to use discernment around that as well. Everyone's saying hi to each other. I love it. Hi, Mary. Mary, 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 Mary. How long are your sessions? The yoga sessions are running pretty much like anywhere from, so like today's session might just be 20 minutes. And then most of them are like between 30 minutes and an hour. The kind of standard session is probably about 45. And you could do a trial for £8.88, and then you'll have access to at least a 5-day sesh playlist, which you can keep referring back to. Sort of like these kind of books. Like I think stuff that's created by an intuitive, it's like if you're tapping the intuition, that then that's how it works. Is like people, like some early readers will still message me and be like, God, I don't know, I'm not necessarily reading through the whole text anymore, but sometimes I'll just open a page and it will be what I need to hear. So similar with like if you just buy even like 1 week's worth of playlist, not subscribed or any of that, it might be that those 5 sessions can serve you for the next month or something, where anytime you just tap into that session or like whatever session you feel guided to do, that's going to be the one that is good for you. Because because I work on flow, like some sessions are just naturally more restorative. Some sessions I'm like getting all sweaty and like work it. Is it worth it? Gonna bang down, flip it, and reverse it. Our first predictor. And also, I love how you guys send me. Wait for it. Except for this video might get. You know what I'm talking about, you guys? This video might get shammed. Just because I'm playing it. Ready to have a boogie? This is Missy, you guys. If you ever heard of her. Wait, she doesn't say it right away. So you might, or maybe they'll just take the. Okay, that's a bit of Missy Elliott for my lovers this morning. God, I just got hot doing that as well. Every time you do this, I love Missy. Who doesn't fucking love Missy? She's legit. She's a badass creator of the hot vibrashe and just general like cool vibes of any chica creator. Served up. That's right. Clothes, books, food, records. Holla! Get your freak on. Get your freak on. I do love you guys. I feel like I'm going to wrap her up and start. Actually, I'll probably go straight to the unlisted yoga sesh. And then there's a live share crew, which is coming along. Beautiful, beautiful community there. And you guys on the sport, just reach out. Do you know what I've been doing lately? Like straight up going shopping around Bristol. I'm like haggling like I would do in Bali or India or wherever. I just haggle people now. I'm like, I will give you $5, and they're like, interesting. So yeah, guys. Fuck it. If you can't afford it, message me. Try me. See if we can have a bit of a haggle sesh going on here. So yeah, yoga crew, live share crew for more intimate noodle sessions. And like topic shares, whatevs, and then intuitive. Oh my god, how could I forget? There's 2-for-1 on intuitive tarot, my loves, and online coaching sessions now until Friday. Friday being the V-Day. I feel like making love to myself. Valentine's. I mean, all of the socially constructed holidays don't quite res with me. So I'm not sure. You too much, Aunt. You too much, darling. I'm the club. I don't even know what that means, but I'm sure it's like some SNL. Oh, somebody messaged me saying that I reminded them of SNL. Oh, we are the world. We are the children. Let's just keep pretending like the world is this perfection. It is this perfection. And we're birthing it from the silence. Right? Every day is Valentine's to me. Yeah, that's right. That's exactly how I feel, Elliot. I eat chocolate whenever I want. I give myself little love cards whenever I want. Like, I don't have to wait for some special day to gift the world with love. Or people I love with love. You know what I'm saying? Intuitive tarot is so yummy. I know, right? So yeah, so it's 2-for-1 now until Valentine's Day. So go like a frenzy of Black Friday shoppers, go to Alta Love and book your sessions, because that would really help me out as well. And or if you want to sign up to the yoga crew, the life share crew, it makes me feel all heart warm fuzzies when people sign up, because it's such a powerful creator community. Yeah, basically silence and birthing the new world is trumping these under cards, where it's like every if as far as manifestation goes, it's like it's all here. We're now just dropping this like this waiting around energy, all this fucking emotional abuse bullshit, all of this people stabbing in our back. That is now over because they've all come down. They're all in the reverse underneath me. And that's what I've been getting intuitively when I've been doing my inner work with my individual like challenges and bullshit. I am literally in my physical body. It's like behind me. And my intuition keeps saying this, like, you're not moving toward this fearful, heavyweight pattern. It's behind you now. It's you're dropping the weight. It's underneath you. It's behind you. So the cards today are very much representative of that. The manifestations are here. We are the world. So it's believing in the world that you desire to see and committing to our silent work, committing to our practice of going within and harmonizing the distortions as and when, and then doing the storm stuff as and when it comes up for us, right? And there it is. That's the authority card, right? So we go within, we reclaim the divinity of our feminine aspect, and then we simply allow ourselves to be present in this world and act like the emperors and empresses that we are, in command of our own universe. And that way, the more we share and shine and guide and show, the more of our brothers and sisters will be like, hey, they looks like they're having loads of fun over there. We're like, we are. But sometimes you have to be like, to be like, woo. Polarity, my friends. If you can only go, then you can only go, he. Do you know what I'm saying? Polarity spectrum. We want to fill up our containers with the love that we are, not go round and round in circles pretending like we're nothing at all, or that we're just these lowly, enslaved, greedy creatures, you know? Although I gotta say, there's been some resentment coming up. like I'm aware of that construct, that weird way that the program, that illusion program, really breeds greed. But people would never, the people that I'm like feeling into, like they would never. No, I'm not greedy. No, no. And I'm like, oh, but we don't even realize. Basically, whenever we're not in gratitude, we're in greed. I don't know. I'm not. It's like truly the state of grace is infinite humility and gratitude and love and appreciation and joy. And if it's not those kind of those higher vibe feelings, it's peace and neutrality. It's just presence. It's unconditional presence. We don't. I mean, that's what I'm speaking obviously right now, is that there will come a point for many of us in our lives where we won't ever necessarily be experiencing some of the depths that we've processed and transformed in our lives thus far. Hence the congregation, hence the coming together of soul tribes and oversouls tribe. We're permissioning one another to let go of that shame, to really release the fear of our own existence and the fear of our power, basically, and the truth of our light. Because many times maybe we've been shamed for even daring to believe. So let's continue to dare to be free and keep believing in our heart's truth, because that's the heart of innocence. It's the heart of human potential ultimately as well. My lovers, that's it for me. Vision of truth. Gosh, there's a couple of you that I haven't seen in a bit, and I'm thinking you pop into my mind. I'm curious if they're going to pop up, or these people I'm thinking of have just left the Alchemical community. I'm not sure. Anywho, that's it for me today. Thanks, you guys. We are the world, and it's in the silence. And if you're feeling like I am, like a really strong call to do loads of meditation, self-care, do it. Do it, my lovers. What was that for a while? I was watching Jenna Marbles, and she used to just sing, "Oi, I don't remember what she said now. She just has this weird voice which comes out sometimes, and it reminds me of Jenna Marbles. Yeah. I don't. Anyway, that's the dark side of me coming out. Have a great day, you guys. I'll see you tomorrow. Lots of love. Thank you so much for being here. Mega appreciation across the nation. Hot love. Vibrashe. Peace out, you guys. Night, night. Hi, Daniel.